Hey there, taking a look outside on your Sunday morning. Here's a live picture from Greeley. You can see the fog in the distance there. We're waking up to another cool and breezy morning where these conditions could make the roads a little slick if you got to get out there and drive today. Good morning, I'm Lauren Scafidi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We want to send things on over to weather impact team meteorologist Chris Spears. Chris, we're talking about a lot of snow in the high country and then that Arctic air coming in tomorrow.
Oh yes, another 60 hours or so below freezing here for the city, and I love when those live cameras verify the weather story because we have a dense fog advisory in parts of Weld County this morning around the Greeley area, and for good reason. You saw that live camera there. There is a bank of fog up there, and it's freezing fog because temperatures are so cold. Visibility at the airport in Greeley 2 miles, and at times some of that fog has even kind of crept into the Fort Collins area, so you have some lower visibility right now as well. 3 and 5 respectively up there in Weld County and Larimer County. So it is a cold start to the day statewide, single digits and teens, pretty common. We are up to 10 in Denver. It was 8. Radar is quiet in Colorado, but if I zoom this out, you see the next system knocking on our door. There's a big plume of moisture coming in from the northwest. It's Pacific moisture, so it's going to bring a good dumping of snow to the high country. 30s and 40s today for most of the state. Overall, it's going to be a pretty good day. We'll do a little melting of that snow here in Denver with temperatures around 40 and some sunshine. But the snow is back for the high country. And Lauren, you teased the Arctic air. I will have the chilly details in just a few minutes.
Chris, thank you so much. Developing this morning, one person is dead after police officers responded to a family disturbance in Colorado Springs in a neighborhood there. The shooting happened just before 5 p.m. at a home near Hancock Avenue and Fillmore Street. Officials say 2 family members got out of the home while one stayed inside with an armed suspect. As police were making safety plans, they were able to make contact with the suspect.
The suspect did not follow the officer's verbal commands to drop the gun and raise the gun towards officers. In response, 2 officers fired at least 1 shot, striking the suspect. Officers began providing immediate medical aid. However, the suspect was pronounced dead on scene.
No other officers or other family members were hurt in the shooting. The officers who did fire shots are on administrative leave, which is just department policy. Boulder County investigators have found the body of a woman who they say matches the description of a missing CU student. Megan Trussell has been missing since last Sunday when she was seen leaving her dorm room around 9 o'clock that night. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office says that Saturday morning, park rangers told them about a body found in the canyon near the 40-mile marker. The roads were dangerous because of weather and the terrain was tough, requiring crews to use technical equipment. While investigators say the body matches the description of the missing student, they would not confirm if it was Megan Trussell. We're also waiting for the coroner to examine the body, which will give us a better idea of what caused this person's death. Colorado Parks and Wildlife has confirmed a wolf killed a cow in Jackson County earlier this month. It's something CPW monitors closely as the state reintroduces wolves. The death was first reported on February 5th. A wildlife officer investigating the death found that the cow had injuries that were consistent with a wolf attack. Investigators believe the wolf is not collared, and it's not a part of the state's reintroduction efforts. This morning, the NTSB is shifting its focus in the investigation into the deadly mid-air collision near Reagan National Airport, claiming 67 lives. They're looking more into the efforts of the Black Hawk helicopter pilots now. After comparing voice recordings from the control tower and the Black Hawk, investigators say the helicopter's pilots may not have heard the traffic controllers at Reagan Airport giving them instructions or warnings.
Data from the Black Hawk indicated that the portion of the transmission that stated "pass behind the" may not have been received by the Black Hawk crew. Transmission was stepped on by a 0.8-second mic key from the Black Hawk.
The NTSB also announced the helicopter pilot and her instructor had 2 different altitude readings before the crash. The NTSB expects to release its preliminary report on the crash by the end of the month. This morning, there's word that several top Trump administration officials will travel to Saudi Arabia in the coming days to meet with senior Russian officials to start peace talks to end the war with Ukraine. Sources tell NBC News that those officials include National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. President Trump has also said that Ukrainian President Zelensky will have a seat at the bargaining table. U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Keith Kellogg, said that a peace plan to end the war could come within days or weeks. Because of this, we're learning in just this morning that European leaders will hold an emergency summit in Paris on Monday, tomorrow. Downing Street says Britain's prime minister will go to that meeting in Paris. The summit will come a little more than a month after Britain's prime minister met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will lead the nation's Health and Human Services Department. He was sworn in earlier this week. He was one of President Trump's most controversial picks. He has received criticism for his past remarks on vaccines, race, and gender. With that confirmation, some are concerned with Colorado's child vaccination rates. Data shows they are already among some of the worst in the nation. CDC data shows last school year, Colorado ranked 5th worst in kindergartners vaccinated for polio at fewer than 88%, 6th worst in diphtheria, tetanus, and whooping cough vaccinations, and 7th worst in measles vaccinations. In the meantime, Colorado is unlikely to add new vaccine mandates. Governor Jared Polis has praised RFK Jr. in the past for, quote, helping defeat vaccine mandates. Democratic State Senator Kyle Mollica, who is also an ER nurse, says that legislators are now looking at what they can do to combat any vaccine misinformation, and he's ruling out a mandate.
Yeah, we're in conversations right now of what that looks like. I think it's obviously making sure that we're doing all that we can around, combating the misinformation campaigns and putting facts out there and doing that community outreach, I think is the first step.
Just one Republican voted against Kennedy. That was Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. He says that him having polio as a child was the reason why. Governor Polis's office celebrated the nomination in a statement to 9 News, saying, quote, Governor Polis congratulates Secretary Kennedy and calls on him to quickly approve our application, which has been with the FDA for too long, to import prescription drugs from Canada to save Coloradans money. The statement went on to say, the governor also looks forward to working with the secretary on healthy diet and nutrition to reduce chronic disease and holding him to his word that he won't interfere with life-saving vaccines and lowering costs of prescription drugs.